press I got cheap, and I'm just trying to bring it up to snuff. I've had to pop rivet the hinges back on because they're just tack welded on there, and after a while people leave it open and it just tears. You know, I put too much pressure on it, it just tears away. So I just put some pop rivets through it. But I'm having trouble with the center pulley bearing. It's making noise. Making a hissing noise. I don't know if it comes in the camera. So I'm going to try and replace that today. I've never done anything like this before, and I can't find anything on YouTube about it. But I'll take it off of there. This drill press has, to adjust the tension on the belts, has two releases that go on the shafts that there's one on one side, one on the other. So you release those, and then there's a crank that you push, and it takes the tension off, pushes the motor back and forth. When I first got it, it didn't work. I had to pull it apart and grease the parts. So I pulled the top off, pulled this pulley off, pulled this off, 4 screws, and then pulled it off, and then greased the mechanism inside. And also I put some duct tape down to kind of, I was having rattle problems between here and in the body. So I put some duct tape down to kind of take away some of the rattles. So it just lifts up and out, and when I spin it, I can hear the bearings in it. Let's see if I can make it go. Anyway, you can hear the bearings in there. I don't have 3 hands, so I'll have to mount it in my press. At first I was going to make it hard by trying to use my hydraulic press to pull it out, but then I found out that I couldn't support it evenly to drive the center shaft out. So I just put it in my bench vise and then just use a brass drift, or you can use whatever you have, a piece of iron rod or something, and just drive it out. Before you do that, before you get too far, you got to figure out how you're going to press the bearings back into the race of the pulley. And so I gave it some thought. I have a bearing. Here's the new bearing, and I went through my sockets and found an impact wrench socket that's just tiny, because you have to push on this outer race. You can't push in the center here. You'll mess up the shield, or you'll, as I say, don't press through the bearings, because you'll mess up the bearings. You'll have to do it all over again. It won't last very long. So you need to get something that'll catch just the outer edge. What you can also do is you can take a washer. I have a lot of washers. I just never know when you need one. So then you can take a washer, and this one is just a little bit too big, but you can just take a bench grinder and grind it down so it's even. So then you could put this on top of it, and then if you have like a smaller socket, put it on there. You just want to catch the outer edge. So if you're pressing into an outer race, you want to catch the edge. If you're pressing over a shaft, then you want to catch this edge, which I actually have a socket that will do that too. It's missing right now. I have a deep socket that will catch this outer edge. I mean the inner edge right here. So we'll just keep that in mind. Work that out ahead of time before you go too far. So I'll just try this out. Now I actually have the instruction manual to this that has the parts list. And I thought there was supposed to be 2 bearings in here. I only see 1. No, there's another bearing. There's 2 bearings. So let's stop a moment while I figure this out. So there turns out there's two bearings in there, one on top of the other. So I need to catch that inner race, and I found a bolt that fits in there really well. And let's see how hard it is to take out. It's pretty tight. I might have to heat it because I don't think it's moving. I checked to make sure there wasn't a clip inside, because you can always get fouled up with that. I found out the hard way. So I could just heat the entire thing in an oven and make it expand, or I could put in my hydraulic press over there and see how that works out. I was trying to do it so people even without a hydraulic press could do it. It's moving slowly. I'm using a couple pound sledge. Yeah, it's getting there. I feel like doing it on my hydraulic press. There went one. Shit, make sure there's not a spacer. There's supposed to be a spacer. Looks like I'm actually driving the bearing out. Oh, they didn't have inner shields. No inner shields on these things. So we got both the bearings out. They don't sound good. They don't even sound better since I was pounding on them. Okay, we'll go to the next step. So those bearings that came out, they're going to be attaching to this after they're installed in the pulley. They're going to be going on top of this shoulder here. So the shoulder limits how deep it will go, which is good. Can't make a mistake. So first I'll have to install them in the pulley, and then press the shaft into the bearings. So first thing is to do this. Got to start these out even so they don't go in crooked. When you have a problem, you got to get them back out again. You can damage them trying to get them back out. So just take the time to do it correctly. And I think that's it. Oh, I also took the digital calipers and made sure that they're the same size as the old ones, because you don't want to find out you got the wrong size bearings at the wrong time. So they're supposed to be 35, and they're very close. Okay, I put this in the oven for half an hour, and it's reading 217 degrees. It's probably even hotter inside. Yeah, a little bit hotter inside. And I had the bearings in the freezer for the same amount of time, so one's going to shrink and one's going to get bigger. Let's see how it works. When I talk out, so I have to hit it on the other side to get it going straight. There we go. So that's all the way in there now. So the next one is just on top of that one. Get the condensation off. It's one bad thing, you have condensation on here. Narrower one. It's going in easier. Looks about right. Heats up pretty quick. So that's got that in. Next I have to do the shaft. Looks like I might have bent the shield a little bit, but it's not interfering with the bearing. Good thing about doing it yourself is you learn how to do it. You can do it again even quicker. And these bearings only cost like $5 a piece. So I don't use the drill press that much. It could last many years. So I got to support this center race while I pound in the shaft. And I have a socket that fits that perfectly. So I did have this in the freezer, and it just pressed right in because the pulley's still hot and it's soaked through the bearings, so it expanded those. Let's see how hot it is. Yeah, it's still 130 degrees on the outside, so it's probably even hotter on the inside. So it soaked into the bearings and expanded them. So that's all done. So I did smack it a few times to get it more flush the way it was originally. So that's done, and bearings sound good, a lot better than before. So I'll just reinstall it and reinstall the belts to see how it sounds. So I put some grease on the shaft and just let it just slides in, and I have to reinstall the belts. I have to see what speed I want it at. I do have the chart still, so that's good. And I want to put it on, I want 800 RPMs, so I want it one belt on the bottom and then one next up. So belt here. And I just bought the new belt, so it's kind of tight. And one up from the bottom. And then I use a crank to tension it and tighten the screws. So I got it all installed. Let's see if it helps on the noise. We don't have the hiss, no more hiss. That makes a big difference. I think I might look into replacing the spindle bearings in there too. There's a really good video on YouTube on how to do that, and the machine looks pretty much like this one, so I can't do a better job than them. So I'll put a link below to changing the spindle bearings on a drill press. Thanks for watching. I hope it helped you.